Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for tuning in again. I'm here with my co host, Rain. My name is Yuras, and this is the Weeknight Mysteries podcast.
Well, that was a little bit all over the place. Hello, everyone.
All good, I guess. Yeah, today we have another topic. This one wasn't really. Honestly, I can't tell you if the topic that we're going to be talking about today was suggested by someone because it's one of the cases that has been on my list maybe the longest or like for the longest time. Because when I was looking for topics for another, mysteries podcast, I was trying to go over like the stuff that, I marked for myself some time ago. And Molly Bish case. 16-year-old girl from Massachusetts. She is found dead, but her death remains a mystery with multiple suspects. Was one of the cases that I was thinking, oh, it's probably about time to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
How are you? And are you ready to kind of delve into another one?
Yes, and yes, let's go for it.
Yes, that means you're good, right?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. So, 16-year-old high school student Molly Bish, she disappears, okay? She disappears in June 27th of the year 2000. So, this is 25 years ago, roughly. She disappears from her work post. She was working that summer as a lifeguard at a small pond. According to Wikipedia, her disappearance had led to one of the most extensive and largest and expensive searches for a missing person ever undertaken in the state of Massachusetts. Apparently, this case was everywhere, all over the place, right? 3 years later, in June of 2003, 3 years later, her remains were finally located in Hampton County, which was 5 miles away from her family home and from where she generally went missing from. Police believe that Molly was abducted and murdered, and several suspects have been identified. I guess and I looked into like all of the ones that are available online. So we're gonna be kind of talking about all of the suspects here, and there's like I think I counted like 6 potential suspects in this case. So we have a lot of different people. So I think by the end of it, we kind of need to think: do we think which one of these individuals could be responsible?
It's pretty funny because I feel like this is where your podcast and research experience actually shows up. Mainly because I thought I had this one on bag. I thought I did a very thorough, very detailed research, and turns out I did not because based on my research, I only found three suspects.
3 suspects.
You doubled the number, man.
I doubled the number. Well, it depends. Maybe some of the people that I found were somehow ruled out in the recent years, or in the sometime during the investigation. But I think I found 6. I think I definitely found 6 suspects. Let's see which ones you found, which ones I found, and let's delve into the mystery.
Let's
Right.
go for it, yeah.
Obviously, as always, let's start off with the disappearance, the day when Molly Bish went missing. Okay, so everything's happening in the summer of 2000. Molly Bish starts working at Comins Pond in a, just like a regular pond. It's like a lake by the looks of it from the Google Maps in Massachusetts. It's located close to her hometown of Warren, Massachusetts. So it's like East Coast America. Massachusetts. It's where Boston, the big city's at.
I'm so sorry, I don't know where it's located. Like exactly, I can't pinpoint it in the map.
It's like a little bit up north from New York City.
Mm.
So it's like, like that northern east coast of America that I feel like I really, as a landscape, I think it's really cool.
Hmm.
Mainly because it's probably the most identical, landscape to what we have here. It's basically like very similar to what we have here. Similar weather, similar warm summers, similar cold winters, all of that. So she starts working, as a lifeguard. Pretty cool as a 16-year-old, doing probably her first job.
I read somewhere that it was her first job.
Really.
Yeah.
Any more details about it? Because I just know that she started working there.
I know that she had like two siblings, I believe.
Okay.
And then I didn't really note this down, but I read, I think, in Unsolved Wikipedia that her family actually did not come from Massachusetts. They moved there.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, for like a smaller, more peaceful place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this is a small town. Warren is a small town. I don't know the exact population, but it looks like one of those tiny towns,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So I don't know exactly when Molly started working. I just know she started working in the summer of 2000. We don't know exactly, on which day she started. But I guess our story here begins on June 26th, which was Monday, the day before she disappeared, because Molly vanished on the 27th of June, so that would be Tuesday. But one day before her disappearance, her mother, Maggie, okay, I think she drove her to the pond so she could, be on her lifeguard duty. So I think her mother, Maggie, was the one who was driving her to work that summer. So Maggie reported later on, after, her daughter went already missing, that she had seen a strange individual, a man with a mustache, in a white car parked in the parking lot of the beach where Molly's lifeguard post was located. And also, you probably didn't pull out the file. Oh, you have it up? Okay, good. We have a sketch of this strange man, so definitely showing this on the YouTube channel. And I kind of also want to react with you. We have actually a couple of sketches here of this strange man sitting in the parking lot in a white car. Okay, we have a side profile and we have a frontal view of the man. Do you see it? Okay, so if you can see the man in the file, can you describe this man?
Imagine a an Italian mafia guy. Looks like a boss, dark hair, kind of like a big nose and a big mustache, smoking cigarettes. That's the best way I could describe him. He looks like he belongs to a stereotypical HBO mafia. Could star in Sopranos. That's the best I can.
Yeah, I agree. Looks like yeah, full head of hair. We have maybe like in her 50s, I would say,
Yeah, an older
right?
gentleman. Yep.
Yeah, I would say in his 50s. I think the very fat and thick mustache, like really fat. But he
Hmm.
doesn't have a beard. He only has that old school mustache, so he's an old school guy because he was 50 in 2000. Thinking back, now it's 2025. This guy, if he was like around 50 back in the day, I think he now would be like kind of like in his 80s, close to his 80s. I think there's a very huge chance that this guy is gonzo by now. Also, I think it's worth mentioning that before we jump the gun here and point fingers at this guy, I think the only reason I think there's nothing really, after going through the research, I don't think there's anything other than circumstantial evidence linking this guy to Molly. I don't think there was ever like a DNA or anything kind of like linked with this guy and Molly herself. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing I'm gonna say is, who is at the parking lot of a pond on a Monday at 10 a.m. in the morning?
Retired people,
Okay,
probably on vacation people and kids.
kids, but a guy alone smoking a cigarette in the parking lot. I think this could be like a guy who doesn't have regular employment, like maybe he is, doing some work on the side, but he doesn't have to be in the office every day, 8 to 5.
And to give our audience a better perspective, this pond, it's not, it's a mile away from, like, let's say the Warren proper, but it's kind of secluded. It's like surrounded by forest. And it feels like you actually have to drive in there to actually get there. It's not like something you could just walk from.
That's actually a very good point, because it's not really close to anything.
Yeah.
However, I did look online. It is a favorite spot for the locals to go fishing.
Do you think this guy looks somehow like a fisherman?
I think he could be a fisher guy, like not a professional, but a recreational, for fun type of a fisher.
He does look like it.
Yeah, and then his description on the wanted poster, which says that this man is wanted for questioning regarding the disappearance of Molly and Bish. When your poster is like that and you're wanted for questioning, you're probably not going to turn yourself in because, it just looks really bad.
No, definitely not. However, I'm wondering, Warren, I believe, is a small town,
Yes, very small.
and no one recognized this guy? Not one.
That's the thing. Later on, so many people came out and reported different types of tips of people that look similar to this guy. So I guess this guy looks like so many different guys. Do you know what I'm trying to say? This guy
Yeah.
doesn't look like a specific one guy. So many guys could look like this guy.
I'm telling you, he could look like half of the characters in Sopranos.
Yeah, exactly, right? So this guy has like the very generic, we just know it's like a 50, man in his 50s with a fat mustache. That's like what we know. White male, heavy set. Okay. So he's on the
What's
bigger
a heavy?
I
Oh,
don't, I
okay.
don't know, heavy set. That's what it says in the wanted poster. Dark colored eyes, dark brown hair. Seen on Monday at approximately 10 a.m. Comins Pond, Warren, Massachusetts parking lot in a white vehicle. Unknown year, make, or model. And Massachusetts police want to talk to this person. This person never comes out. So it's either because of three reasons. He's guilty and he's trying to stay under the radar. He's not guilty, but he has no idea about Molly's case, which is kind of hard to believe since it's the biggest case in Massachusetts history.
If that's the case, then does that mean he's not from the town?
Which would be weird because this looks like a very specific location for locals. So I kind of find that hard to believe. And the last one is that he's innocent, but he doesn't want to come forward because he wants to not potentially incriminate himself, which I would also understand, to be honest. But I'm kind of going to rule out the middle option here because I feel like to be in such a place on a Tuesday at 10 a.m., you're probably a local. And if you're a local, you heard about Molly's case. Most likely. Especially because, you're fishing there. So that's probably not the first time you're fishing there. You've seen the commotion. So, do you think this man is kind of weird in your opinion? And do you think he could be connected?
Definitely. Mainly because he never really came forward.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was innocent, then help a family out. You know what I mean?
Help a family out, exactly. I do agree with you on this one. I definitely think that there's a big chance this guy is This guy is weird. The only other interesting thing for me is that, well, Molly's mother, Maggie, said that this man was suspicious on the 26th, and Molly disappears on the 27th. I wonder what she meant by him being suspicious on the 26th. Like, how are you suspicious? Are you just looking like so weird in the white car? Like what would make you suspicious?
I'm imagining an older, creepy guy on the side smoking a cigarette that was looking at Molly in a weird way.
Mm-hmm. Also, 10 a.m. on a Monday. How many people could be on that pond?
I mean, it's summer.
It's summertime though. Should be someone there. Okay, so the next day, June 27th, Maggie once again drives her daughter, Molly, to the Comins Pond and drops her off near the lifeguard station. This time, however, Maggie said that she didn't see this man anymore, that, the man was nowhere to be seen. However, there were multiple witnesses that saw a man matching the description of, this guy from the poster in the pond's parking lot just minutes before Molly arrived. So I took a screenshot from the Google Earth satellite image. So yeah, I guess the parking lot, I'm going to be showing this parking lot on the YouTube channel. It says more parking lot. Somebody saw this man, apparently, or a man looking very similar to this man in the parking lot just minutes before Molly and Maggie arrived. So it's almost like this guy is scoping out the area if it's the same man. He's just in the parking lot and then he's gone.
Or he could have been a regular, always there at the same time.
Yeah, that's also true.
But then again, how come nobody saw him afterwards?
Yeah, after Molly disappeared, he's never been seen there again, so that's bizarre. Also, a local worker reported that at some point, that person also saw a similar car to the white car reported by Maggie, parked at a cemetery, which is connected to the pond by a path. I looked into it. There seems to be another cemetery there, kind of also close to the pond.
It's kind of surrounded by cemeteries.
Yeah, that's true. There's like
Right.
looks like a couple of them.
Now I'm kind of curious about this white car. Do we have any other description than it being a white car?
No, that's the thing. I don't
Could it be
think
like
so.
a smaller size, bigger one of maybe a pickup or something?
I don't think it's a pickup because I think they would have mentioned it. I think it's maybe like a sedan. I'm just imagining like a four-door sedan, something like
Yeah,
that.
like easy to, I don't know. Like I don't even know how to describe a sedan.
Like
A white
like
car.
easy to not notice the model or make or year. It's probably not a van.
Yeah, that's true. It's easier to describe like anything other than a regular sedan.
That's true. So Maggie Bish, she was the last person to have seen her daughter alive before she disappeared. And that's interesting because that means that Molly went missing just minutes after being dropped off by her mother.
Actually, I have a little bit of a timeline here. I saw it in Unsolved Mysteries Wikipedia, and I just want to read it to you a little bit. So we might have a better
Yes,
picture
please.
on what happened. It just around 9:50 a.m. to around like 11 a.m.
Please do it because I didn't see this timeline and I think it will shine a better picture. Let's do it.
Okay, so Maggie, Molly's mom, and Molly, they were driving first at a convenience store around 9:50 a.m. And then afterwards, around 9:56, I'm not sure if this was the exact time because, we're not like constantly looking at time whenever we're driving or something, maybe approximately.
Yeah.
At 9:56, they stopped at Warren Police Department to pick up Molly's radio.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea what that means.
It's
Like
probably
walkie-talkies or something?
connected to her work. Probably.
Okay, so 9:58 a.m., Maggie dropped Molly off into the pond's parking lot and said goodbye to her. And Molly went to a nearby shed to get her work equipment. Maggie left and returned home. At 10:03 approximately a.m., a local resident arrived at the beach with her children. They noticed that Molly's first aid kit was open, her backpack was sitting on a nearby bench, and her chair was there, with a towel draped over the back, her sandals in front. Her two-way radio, water bottle, whistle, and lunch were next to the chair, but she was nowhere to be found. So immediately I'm seeing like she had few moments to gather all of her stuff to to prepare for her work basically before she
Yeah.
was either abducted or
Yeah.
went somewhere.
That's crazy.
She wasn't abducted like immediately.
Yeah, but almost immediately, though. Almost immediately. We're just talking about minutes.
It's pretty crazy though, because I kind of don't understand the timeline completely here, because there's such like short period of time before the local resident saw that she wasn't there, but she managed to
Damn.
put her clothes and stuff out of the bag.
Damn, but that's so crazy. The timeline is so tight.
It's very tight, right?
Dude, this is crazy because yeah. I'm glad you gave that description. Now it makes me think that the man who was kind of like apparently scoping out the area, now he's super suspicious.
Really suspicious because at around 11 a.m., Molly's boss arrived at the beach and learned that she was not there. Now, Molly was a very responsible lifeguard, apparently, and she would never leave without telling anyone. Because, lifeguard, it would make a difference if you're there or not, basically.
Do you think it could be a situation where the guy in the white car once again parks and he shouts out to Molly, come here, I need help.
I'm drowning.
No, at the parking lot.
Oh, at the parking lot.
Yeah, not drowning. Like,
No, because I was picturing something like maybe the guy, whoever abducted her, was in the forest and was yelling for help, maybe drowning or something, that Molly had to run.
but he would be in the forest though. How is he drowning in the forest?
Either drowning or in the forest,
Because
somewhere along those lines.
I don't think he's drowning because like it would just in my eyes he would need so much time
Oh yeah, that's
to
true.
get out to like dry up. Too much time. I think maybe he either maybe potentially used a gun or something and snatched Molly up from the forest,
That
creeped
would
up,
be the quickest way possible, yeah.
or he shouted out at her, "Come to the car," as he was in the parking lot.
But then again, Molly didn't seem like the type of person that would be hard to abduct. Sorry to say that.
Yeah, yeah,
She could have
especially if
easily
she
like carried away.
if she was held at gunpoint.
Yeah, that's true. And then 11:44 a.m.,
Yeah.
Molly's boss already called the police.
Uh-huh.
And apparently it was discovered that Molly didn't check in with the officers via her radio.
Okay, that's
Interesting. Yep. And she was supposed to do this at every beginning of the shift.
bad.
At 1 p.m., the police called Maggie and told her that there has been no lifeguard in the beach all day. And then they started the investigation. So they started looking for Molly around the same afternoon.
Yeah.
So whoever abducted her moved fast, real fast.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting. Thank you for the timeline because it means that it really happened quickly like that. Okay. All right. So let's continue on a little bit here with what we have. In late autumn, which I think is autumn is like from September to November, right? That's autumn. No, autumn.
September, October,
No,
November.
that's fall.
Autumn is fall.
Okay, so that's fall. Anyways, in late fall of 2002, which is 2 years later after Molly had already disappeared, a hunter had seen a blue bathing suit in the woods on Whiskey Hill in Palmer, a city close to Warren, also a very small city, small town. For some reason, it took this person another half a year until May of 2003 to mention this to someone called Tim McGuigan. I don't know who Tim McGuigan is, okay? I never looked into it. It's just
A PI?
no, I think he's just a guy, okay? Who then Tim, this just guy, Tim, he reported that to police. An intense search of the area commenced. So I really feel like, the hunter could have kind of made a mention of that bathing suit a little sooner, but maybe he did not know about Molly's case. On June 9 of 2003, so somewhere literally almost 3 years after Molly's disappearance, her body was found. Her body was found 5 miles from her family home in Palmer. Cause of death was not determined due to the body's advanced decomposition, but investigators assumed that Molly was abducted and then murdered. That is the presumption. And now she's officially, not a missing person, but unsolved murder victim. Investigation started immediately, into the murder now, not the disappearance anymore. And we have a few suspects. So I guess now the long list of suspects will start, and we will kind of try to comb through everything here and see what we think about each of these guys.
Of course, I just find it very maddening, the fact that Molly was just an innocent 16-year-old doing her job, and then
Yeah,
some butthole, not sure if we could say that on YouTube.
I think we can.
Okay, so maybe you could just bleep that one out.
No, I think it's good.
Oh, okay. Decided to just ruin hers and her family's lives.
Yeah, by the looks of it, right? Mm-hmm. So first we have this is the guy that was briefly mentioned, and I think he's, in my opinion, the way I understand it, the least likely that he is connected. So he's like an honorable mention. In 2005, there was a Connecticut man charged with attempted kidnapping in New York, and he was briefly under investigation in connection to Molly's case. So I tried looking for it. I think I found one article about it, but it kind of like the article at the end stated that this Connecticut man, it was proven that he somehow wasn't at, Warren.
The right time and the right place.
Yeah. Do you have anything about like some Connecticut man?
Do you have any names?
Nah.
So it's one of those, no.
So just a Connecticut man. Yeah, that's true. Like for me also, I would say let's move on from that one. So suspect number one. I think police officially ruled him out, but I could be mistaken here. Now let's move to a guy who's definitely, in my opinion, not ruled out. A crazy guy. Okay. In 2009, a new suspect was investigated. 2009, 9 years after Molly's disappearance. Rodney Stanger. Have you heard about Rodney Stanger? A Florida resident convicted of murdering his girlfriend. And this man, before he murdered his girlfriend in Florida, he lived in Massachusetts for 20 years, more than 20 years, and he lived just 5 miles away from Warren. So a crazy guy, a terrible individual. He lived in close proximity to to where Molly disappeared.
That's already a huge red flag.
Yeah, Rodney Stanger. Does this one ring a bell?
Yes, but I need to get my eyes checked because I read it yesterday as Stranger. Rodney Stranger.
Yeah, I could see how you could do that. Yeah, it's Stanger. Rodney Stanger. All right, so he lived for 20 plus years in a city called Southbridge. Okay, Southbridge is really close to Warren. It's a small town. And basically, this is the shady facts about Rodney Stanger. He moved to Florida a year after Molly's murder, so, he kind of got out of there real quick. While Molly was still a missing person, however. So if he was responsible, I guess, he would have thought that maybe they will never find her remains. Following the murder of his girlfriend in Florida, Crystal Morrison, whom he was, she was his girlfriend for like 20 years, like a 2-decade long relationship with this Crystal Morrison until he finally murdered her. Okay, Crystal's sister alerted the Massachusetts authorities. She said, "Listen, this guy who murdered my sister in Florida, he used to live in Massachusetts, kind of really close to where Molly Bish went missing from." And she also, I don't know if she kind of connected the dots, but what made this guy fall under suspicion in Molly's case was the fact that he was known to have access to a white car similar to the one seen by Molly's mother, Maggie, the day before Molly disappeared. This man, Rodney Stanger, also was known to fish in Comins Pond on a regular basis and hunt in the woods where Molly's body was found. In addition, Rodney Stanger closely matches the description provided by Maggie Bish of the man seen in the white car the day before Molly disappeared. However, he has never been charged in her murder case. So I don't know if you're following this on the file. If you would move a little bit down, I have a image. I have a comparison image of Rodney Stanger and the man.
Oh my
in this.
gosh.
Can you just show me if you're looking at it? Yeah.
The mustache, they match.
It's like literally
Big bushy mustache.
big bushy mustache, really fat ass mustache, but no beard, just like the sketch.
The bags under the eyes are also matching.
Yeah, looks like a big boy, you know what I mean? Like a big boy in his 50s.
Although I wonder if Maggie actually took a look into it and confirmed that it was this guy or not. Because from the sketch, it looks like he had a darker shade of hair.
That's the thing. The sketch, I think the picture that we are looking at of the guy, it's already like it's some years after.
Oh, it's
like
way
it's
earlier.
not necessarily way earlier, but some years after. That's true. Like this guy has already like very gray hair
Yeah.
in his mug shot. Yeah, but a guy, I mean, how many guys like that could have been there fishing in the lake as a regular white car? I
No.
mean, this is looking really bad right now for this guy.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking, is it possible to have this amount of gray hair in that span? Because my dad, he has a dark, on the darker shade of hair, and for decades now, it never really turned this color,
This
this white.
this white, yeah.
It's always like salt and pepper.
The thing is, we don't even know if they were able to, see the hair that well in the sketch. But that's true. That's a good point. The hair doesn't quite match up. All right, let's move a little bit into.
Wait, 1 second before we move on to.
No, we're not move on to anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna add some more info about it.
Okay, let's go for it.
No, but please tell me what you were about to say for sure.
I have a feeling you will mention this, so you go
Okay.
first.
No, I'm just gonna read some more information. But okay, let me do it then. Okay, so I found a little bit more information about this guy, Rodney Stanger. Okay, so I found an article about this guy, and it says Molly Bish connection. The DA's office is to review items discovered in convicted Florida killer's trailer. So let me explain what's happening. Remember, I earlier mentioned Crystal Morrison, who was the girlfriend of Rodney Stanger, the one that he murdered in Florida. So Crystal's sister, Bonnie Kierman, she went to Florida, to Summerfield, It's the city where they lived and where she was murdered. And she traveled there to retrieve the belongings from the trailer where her sister was murdered. Apparently, in the trailer, Crystal and Rodney were living together. And she tried to get some items back, and she could not explain some of the items that were found in the trailer that seemed kind of strange. So the items that she found that were kind of strange to her were kind of barrettes, hair ties, and scrunchies for little girls, not grown women. And she found it strange because she later said that, her sister would never wear little girl stuff unless Rodney forced her to do it. And, this kind of like makes the case kind of weird because they found apparently these little girl items were found in the bathroom in a plastic bag or something like that, almost as if, they're not that stashed away or hidden or anything like that. So Rodney Stanger, I don't think on his, record, I don't think he had, at least the way I'm looking at it right now, I don't think he had any like, child weirdness, but this is because the other people we're gonna talk about, they had like some weirdness involving like children, but this is kind of like, I don't know. To me, since they didn't have a kid, they didn't have like a daughter or anything like that, to have like little girl stuff, I mean,
That's really weird.
that's immediately like kind of weird,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
why would you own such things?
Little girl stuff in the bathroom as a, I don't know, man, like 50, 60
Yeah.
year old guy.
Granddaughters? I bet
No,
not.
they got nothing.
That's just really weird.
Why would you? What do you know about this guy?
I was actually supposed to say the same things
About the
that
little
you
girl
said.
stuff?
Yep.
Oh, really? So anything I missed?
Okay. Crystal's sister also says that she received a cryptic message from Crystal right before her death that indicated Rodney may have been involved in the disappearance of
Oh my God.
Molly.
You're right. Please, please, please keep going.
Okay. She said that Crystal asked about her bird named Molly. So basically, her sister has a bird named Molly, and then Crystal on the phone was asking about Molly the bird. And then whispered the word murders into the phone. Creepy. That's all I have.
That's I have the same thing. I found I had the same. No, yeah. So apparently, sometime before she gets murdered, she speaks with her sister on the phone, and she's like, "Well, what's the name of your bird?" And then her sister, her sister Bonnie is like, "Oh, you mean Molly? Molly, like my bird, Molly?" And then Crystal is like, "Murders." And then, yeah.
It could be a crazy coincidence. It could be that Crystal might have been going through something. Or
Because why beat around the bush? Why not
there was
just
some time, why not just meet her sister and just say
and
it?
just say it? But does this mean that potentially Crystal somehow uncovers Rodney's Massachusetts secrets and then he kills her?
Where's the evidence, though?
So I think that's it. That's all the evidence we have. I think it's very circumstantial.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything connecting, like DNA or anything.
I would like to believe it, but
But the guy looks very bad right now.
I mean,
Because
honestly, all of the suspects that we have look like the guy in the sketch.
very, very good point. But honestly, to me, this guy looks like the most like the sketch because of the big mustache.
Really?
I mean, the other guys have mustache, but this guy has a fat ass mustache. Like, really fat.
Really bushy.
Yeah. All right. So we just got done talking about Rodney Stanger. Interesting individual, that's for sure. Now I want to circle back to Holly Piirainen. You are aware.
Completely, yeah. Basically, she was a 10-year-old girl who was also abducted and murdered. And Molly and Holly, both girls, kind of have or kind of share the same, I would say, circumstance and profile.
Yeah, definitely. When Holly Piirainen was abducted and murdered, she was 10, and it happened in 1993. The main person of our discussion today, Molly, she was also 10 in 1993. So I have some information. So in 2009, let's circle back a little bit. Rodney Stanger, the guy that we just spent some time talking about, the guy who kind of looks like he could be the guy from the sketch, right? In 2009, he was being investigated for the Molly Bish's murder. Police also questioned him in connection to the 1993 murder of Holly Piirainen, who went missing in Sturbridge, which is very close to where Molly went missing from, the little town called Warren in Massachusetts. So Molly and Holly, okay, they were the same age. They were both 10 in 1993. Molly, do you remember that connection? That Molly apparently, when Holly first went missing, Molly was also 10 and she sent a letter of hope to Holly's parents.
That's a very, I would say, creepy coincidence.
That's a weird connection, right? Also, I think worth mentioning here is that Rodney Stanger, okay, let me just fix my stuff here. Rodney Stanger, he was never really charged in this case. In 2012, forensic evidence, however, led authorities to name David Poilot.
Who is this guy?
David Poilot as a person of interest in Holly's case. And why am I bringing another guy, David Poilot, into this?
David P.
Let's just say Poilot. David Poilot, I believe it's his last name. Why I'm bringing him into this discussion about Molly Bish's case, because obviously if you're a person of interest in Holly Piirainen's case, you're most likely a person of interest in Molly's case. I mean, there's no way around it.
I mean, there's also this possibility that they were not connected.
I think
Both
that's
of the cases.
I would say that's even a more likely possibility. I think,
However,
but there's a big possibility that they are connected.
yeah, and I don't know, there's also a big possibility that there's just a local predator,
That's true.
which is really creepy.
So let me read you a little bit more about what I have on David Poilot, okay? So a fellow Massachusetts resident, Holly Piirainen, she was killed 7 years earlier, before Molly. Her body was also found in a wooded area in Hampton County. Now, police considered the possibility that the two cases could be related. And this is where David Poilot comes into place, because he is considered a person of interest in both cases. It was discovered that Molly Bish had written a letter to Holly's parents following her disappearance. That's the connection. That's an eerie connection that we already talked about. Now, what happened to David Poilot? Now, David Poilot was identified as a person of interest in Holly's case in 2012, which is almost 20 years after she was abducted and murdered. So it took them It took them 19 years to identify David Pullett, who we have his picture. I don't know if you have the file open, but David Pullett, if you can see, he's the guy in the picture in the wife beater. He also has a really fat mustache on his face, and he could also be the guy from the sketch. It's very eerie. On top of that, this guy is already dead. David Pullett has died in 2003, so he was identified as a person of interest in Holly's case 3 years after. 9 years after he had already died. Investigators have not disclosed exactly why he's linked, but apparently there is some sort of a forensic evidence that links him heavily to Holly's case. And from my research online, I probably would say that this man, David Pullett, at the moment is the leading suspect in Holly's case. And then he also has a fat mustache, just like the man from Maggie's sketch.
That's why I'm curious, like, what was the hair color? Because we have, well, as of the moment, two different potential suspects that have two different hair colors. So I'm just curious, like, what was the hair color? Is it leaning more into the darker shade? Maybe black, maybe dark brown? Or is it more of like the lighter shade? You know what I mean? I think that would make a difference.
That would definitely help us, but maybe Maggie didn't have enough time to make that mental note.
That's true. And I was also curious if Maggie identified any of them. Surely one of them must have looked familiar.
That's a very good question. Actually, I never ran into anything online during my research where Maggie would, identify anything.
Yeah, I didn't see any information about it, although I'm just very curious. Like, for example, you see someone today, and let's say a couple of days from now, you would still kind of recognize them, no? If you paid enough attention to actually look at them and have a sketch made, of course.
Maybe.
Maybe
because honestly, unless a person is very distinctive, in my opinion, you might not necessarily remember. It could be just another person.
No, but what if it's in the middle of nowhere, like the Comins Pond, and it was just one creepy dude?
I mean, under that circumstance,
then he probably would remember the face enough to recognize if one is the suspect or not, or at least like one has the potential to be more of that creepy dude.
I think also it depends if you've seen the person up close.
Yeah, and if you've seen the whole face, not just like a side profile or something.
Exactly, because a guy could look like one thing from the side in a completely different way. And honestly, all of these guys look like the same guy.
It's really crazy.
They all look like they could be the same guy. And honestly, I feel like one of them is probably the guy. Because what are the coincidences?
It's just so funny because when I looked at the sketch, I was like, easy to recognize. Kind of has this iconic-ish face.
Iconic?
Yeah, I would say iconic, like you would remember it.
Like Taylor Swift?
No, not that. Recognizable, I guess.
Okay.
Sorry for the wrong choice of word. Anyways.
No. So, but I know what you're saying generally, okay?
But looking at every single bad guy that we have, could be
it, yeah. They all fit the physicality is kind of there for them. Now there's another person for which I have a vague information about. I'm gonna quickly introduce this man, and you need to tell me if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I'm talking about is another suspect in Holly Piirainen's case. So suspect number 2 from Holly's case, and I don't have his name, but I can only refer to this man as the man in the pickup truck. You don't? Okay, so basically, I went on Wikipedia for Holly Piirainen's murder case, and there is some interesting information apparently about a man who was driving a pickup truck, and he apparently was very shady and acting weird in the vicinity of where Holly went missing from, actually at the same time as she went missing from. So that's already sounding pretty bad. Now, let me kind of walk you through the information that I found. Apparently, there's a website created by a team of retired police investigators, and they were basically working on Holly's case when they were still in the police force. And now some of them are speculating that potentially the most likely culprit in the Holly's case is actually a strange man who has been seen driving around in a pickup truck in and around the area where Holly was abducted from. So apparently, there were a sighting of this man. Okay, there was a man in a brown pickup truck, and the people on the website, they claimed that the man was driving down a neighborhood approximately 200 yards or 180 meters away from where Holly was standing, and then slowed down, apparently. Okay, and it apparently slowed down as it was passing two teenage girls. Okay, so it was a creepy van, and the two teenage girls, they basically had a very bad encounter with this pickup truck guy, and they reported him to the police. Now, what they told the police officers was kind of damning. Okay, at first they were apparently going to pick up mail from the mailbox, and they saw that this van was kind of like driving around and slowing down. So they were afraid that this driver, the man behind the van, he's gonna jump out and grab one of them. So very good stuff for these two girls. You know what I mean? Teenage girls. They avoided that. They went back inside. So that's a great decision, in my opinion. The website also says that this man in the pickup truck likely turned around at the end of South Shore Drive, where Holly was standing. So that would give him basically the opportunity to abduct Holly. After the second encounter with the teenage girls, one of them returned to the house and noticed that the truck was there, and now this particular teenage girl noticed the truck for the third time in the neighborhood. And now it was accelerating past, not looking for the teens. I think it's implied that maybe this is when the man in the pickup truck had abducted Holly. And
But she was found in the forest, though.
yeah, but this man abducted her, could have easily taken her to the forest. What?
Wait, so could you remind me what's the distance of the forest Molly's body was found from the pond that she was abducted from?
So I think it was 5 miles. But we're talking about Holly's case right now.
Oh, Holly, sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about Holly's, because, if we're going to talk about Molly's case, we kind of have to bring up Holly Piirainen's case because, I mean, come on.
They're kind of similar, eerily similar.
How are you not going to bring it up, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, long story short, apparently, okay, this man in the pickup truck was identified. I did not find his name or anything like that, but apparently the man in the pickup truck has a lengthy criminal record, which is kind of, doesn't look good right now.
And we don't have a name or a picture?
Yeah, apparently none of the crimes involved a child. The reporter that was reporting on the story apparently interviewed this man's ex-wife, and basically the ex-wife told the reporter that this guy in the pickup truck, her ex-husband had I'm just gonna say it, I'm not gonna bleep it, sex addiction, and often behaved compulsively, and also revealed basically, okay, no, nothing. And then basically what this ex-wife also said, he never did anything with children, and she would find it strange and wouldn't think that he would do anything with a girl as young as 10. But then again, for someone like that, I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, same.
So now we have two guys, and honestly, I don't know what they have on David Pouliot or Pouliot or whatever, okay, the other guy. Because it's unidentified, undisclosed like forensic evidence that led them to David 9 years after he had already passed away. But this guy in the pickup truck, I mean, what a coincidence. Some complete creeper driving around in a pickup truck in the same neighborhood where Holly goes missing, and David Poilot does abducts Holly, not this guy.
True.
So I'm thinking, unless I see some concrete evidence about David Poilot, this guy in the pickup truck is a humongous suspect.
Yeah, very suspicious. I agree.
Okay, let's move on to the next suspect. We have a couple more, and then I want to round it up and ask you. And I'll sum it up real quick at the end, all the suspects, and I will want you to kind of give me your take.
Man, this one's tough because everyone looks the same here. Even the next two guys we're going to talk about.
This case has the most very possible, like, suspects, possible killers, the most of any other case. Because in most cases, you have one or two guys that are, most likely the guys.
Or one that kind of stands out.
But in Molly's case, you have like 5 dudes, and they all could be the killer.
They're all really sketchy, really creepy, and they look like the sketch.
Yeah. Let's jump into the next guy. Gerald Batistoni. Gerald Batistoni. In November of 2011, so like a little over 10 years ago, Gerald Batistoni, he has been named as a suspect in Molly's case by private detective Dan Malley. And we have an image of the guy. I don't know if you could see him. Yeah, I can tell you're looking at the guy. So the picture that we're looking at, the guy doesn't have a mustache.
I mean, he could have easily shaved it.
Easily.
I'm looking at his picture right now, and he looks like he would have a mustache. However, it also looks like he's prone to have a beard.
Yeah, he looks like he has a stubble or whatever, right?
He looks like the other sketch. Like, basically, there's this other sketch that I would say doesn't look as much as the first sketch I meant.
So to kind of explain to the audience here, there are like 2 different sketches of the same person that was noticed by Maggie, Molly's mom. And honestly, right now, looking at the side-by-side, this guy, Gerald Batistoni,
Look at the eyes.
he looks insanely
Similar,
honestly, to both of them. If you put a mustache on him, he just has that face.
And the eyes are very eerily similar.
Damn.
Okay, what do we know about this guy?
What do we know about the guy? Okay, so he served time in prison for reportedly
Essaying
a teenage girl in the 90s, early 90s. So at around the time when Holly was basically abducted, he attempted...
Holly or Molly?
Holly.
Okay.
Well, Holly, let's remember, went missing in 1993.
And Molly, 2003?
Molly went missing in the year of 2000.
Okay. Sorry, I got it mixed up.
In June of 2000. No worries. So what do you have on this Batistoni guy? So he was he served time in prison for essaying a teenage girl in the early 90s. He had attempted self-harm in prison after newspapers articles identified him as a potential suspect in Molly and Holly's cases.
Okay, really creepy. But now I'm assuming that this guy was in jail, but he got out before Molly was abducted, potentially.
this is a bizarre circumstance because apparently he has a criminal record dating back to the 80s. And apparently, he had been in the area where Molly Bish's body was found. And he also obviously resembles the sketch. After basically Gerald Batistoni was named the suspect by private investigator Dan Malley, basically the Bish family asked for DNA testing to be done to match up any DNA evidence from Molly's case to potentially match up with Gerald Batistoni. But apparently it was sent out, and it was sent out, I think maybe already like a good 10 years ago. So if I understand this case correctly, I don't think they matched Gerald Battistoni with the case. Now, Gerald Battistoni himself, he is no longer alive. He has died in November of 2014 due to health problems.
Okay, he looks like the sketch, but how would you even explain the fact that he attempted self-harm when he was linked to Molly and Holly's case?
Because I think he was in prison, and if you're linked to a abduction of a child, you will be
practically dead.
maybe you're not going to be practically dead, but maybe the credibility or the life that he had already had in the prison, that's all gone. Because now they're going to check your papers out. And when you show your papers, man, they're going to, split your wig, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways.
So do you think it's... I mean, obviously this guy is a huge walking red flag. Well, no longer walking. But do you think the fact that he tried self-harm when he was linked, do you think that raised a flag?
For me, honestly, for me, that doesn't say anything. Because I could see how he's innocent and he doesn't want that attention in prison. And I could see how he's guilty and he still doesn't want that attention.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily move it for me either way regarding this guy. But I have some more information. Let me quickly go through. Not a lot, just a little bit on Gerald. Okay, so we have, Batistoni, apparently he once lived in Palmer, where Molly's remains were found, and worked with police as a confidential informant. So he was a snitch. In 2011, private investigator Dan Malley, he basically alerted investigators after he learned that Batistoni had essayed the daughter of a woman that Batistoni was dating in the 90s. Apparently, the teenager that was essayed by Batistoni told the media, or like, let's say, law enforcement, that she was essayed as many as 100 times growing up.
Jeez.
So it's just a constant, abuse. Mm-hmm. Batistoni was convicted of 4 counts of essay and abuse of a child in 2011. While investigating that case, Dan Malley, the private investigator, learned that Batistoni could be linked to the area in Sturbridge where Holly was last seen before her 93 abduction. Her remains were found off 5 Bridge Road in Brimfield, not far from another area where Batistoni apparently hanged out. The victim in the essay case had also moved to Comins Pond Road. So now we're talking about, the...
Molly.
We're talking about the teenage girl that Batistoni was abusing.
Still, okay.
Look, like for 100 times. You know what I mean? So Batistoni had a girlfriend that he was dating. The girlfriend had a small daughter, and Batistoni was abusing the small daughter. So the small daughter that Batistoni was abusing moved to Comins Pond Road in Warren and was living there about the time when Molly Bish was abducted. Okay.
Well, that's pretty bad.
This is a bad connection right now for Batistoni. And Batistoni apparently was also familiar with Whiskey Hill the location where Molly's remains were found. Apparently, he would use the road to travel back and forth to Warren from another town called Ware. His former wife confirmed that. And after news outlets began reporting about the private investigators' findings, Batistoni was hospitalized because he cut his throat. Because he was in jail, I think, and he didn't want to, basically be messed up there by the
Okay,
inmates.
no, but the thing is,
Yeah.
he was already abusing a minor.
Yeah, so
Like,
it's,
what reputation?
to be honest, that's a good point. What reputation at this point?
They probably already know it in jail that he abused a minor.
They had to check his papers out, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, what's the first thing they ask you when you show up to, like, you know what I mean? Like a serious jail in America. Do you know what they first ask?
I have no idea. The only thing I know about jails in America is from Prison Break, so it's probably not as accurate.
They didn't ask in Prison Break, but the first thing they ask is, show me your papers.
Really?
Yeah, you have to show the papers. Because if you don't show the papers, that means you're hiding your conviction. You're hiding your crime.
Really?
Why would you hide the crime? Because it's something against minor kids, childs. You know what I'm saying?
So is it true then that if you did something wrong to a minor, you're most likely gonna get effed up in jail?
Yes, I would assume that's how they do it there.
Good.
Because you have to pull out the papers immediately. you know
Okay,
what I
so
mean?
this guy then, he was already abusing a minor. Like, what, 2, 3 more? His reputation is already effed up.
I mean, and yeah, maybe, but one way or another, apparently he wanted to cut himself.
I think he has a connection, at least with one of the girls, maybe Molly.
Strange. And now we move on to actually the last guy, the last person of interest, and this is the most recent person of interest. And if I understand Molly's case correctly, this is the guy that is viewed by the investigators as the most likely culprit.
I must say, he is the one who looks the most.
The most.
The hair, the nose, the eyes, the everything.
Yeah.
He looks like he could appear in Sopranos as much as that guy in
The
the sketch.
guy from the sketch and the guy that we're going to be talking about right now, Francis Sumner, they both kind of look Hispanic. A little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit.
He looks like a grandfather who would just beat you.
Abusive. Okay, let's talk about it. So Joseph Early is a district attorney for Worcester County. Apparently, he was handling Molly's case, even up till now, I think. He announced a new person of interest on June 3rd, 2021. So literally 4 years ago, less than 4 years ago. And that was Francis Sumner, a registered S offender and a man with more than a 20-page criminal record, who was found dead inside of his home in Spencer, Massachusetts on May 4th, 2016. So another guy how they somehow identify as a suspect some years after the man has already died. So who is this guy? Well, DA Joseph Early did not exactly specify how Sumner was connected to the case, but that the investigators recently received new information in 21 that had led them to investigate Francis Sumner. Apparently, this guy was a long-time Central Massachusetts resident who owned and operated auto repair shops in the area where Molly was abducted from. He was convicted of aggravated, and I'm gonna bleep that one out, that was my mistake, don't worry about it, and kidnapping in 1982 after he locked a woman that he had hired to clean an apartment in the apartment and then essayed her and threatened to kill her. So basically, in 82, he was calling some cleaner lady to show up to clean his apartment. He locked up the cleaner lady and threatened to kill her and then assaulted her.
A-hole.
So that tells us something about this guy. That tells us that at least in 82, he wasn't going to kill his SA victim, which kinda is not.
Could be an indicator.
I mean, it could be an indicator that he's not responsible for Molly's disappearance because I think the guy who abducted Molly wouldn't hesitate to kill. That's my line of
But
thinking.
what about his history of SA, kidnapping and stalking of young girls?
That's true. And then also another thing I would like to say is that his crime happened in 82 and Molly was abducted in the year of 2000. So in 18 years of being, a deplorable individual, you probably could, become worse.
Or he could. It could not be him because maybe after 20 years is already weak.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I read somewhere that apparently he smoked with his left hand, which matched the suspect's profile.
Oh no. Really? I didn't know this information.
Remember Maggie's claim that the guy who was smoking with his left hand, apparently Mr. Frank Sumner, also
it's
has
Francis.
a habit. Oh, Francis. Oh, yeah, no, nickname Frank.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Frank Sumner. So Mr. Frank also has a habit of apparently smoking with his left hand.
Oh my God, yeah, because for our audience, one of the sketches is of a guy holding a cigarette with the left hand. Okay, that's interesting.
Also, a family member gave his name as a possible suspect 3 years ago. Sorry, I didn't really specify like when, but yep,
3 years maybe after.
after Molly's disappearance.
Yeah, but why? Do we know why?
No, that's all I have.
What family member? Like a immediate family member, like a brother, sister?
It wasn't specified there. It was just a family member gave his name.
So even the family thinks that this guy is,
Potentially.
yeah, a terrible guy. Okay, let's see what I found on this guy. So what I ended up looking at about this guy, Francis Sumner. Well, okay, so after he was sentenced in 82 for that, cleaning woman assault, so all I was gonna say is that he got a sentence, apparently 15 to 18 years, for the concurrent sentence for the 82, basically essay of the woman that he hired to clean, and he kidnapped her essentially. So apparently it's not known, and this was pretty strange to me. Apparently, it's not known how long exactly Francis Sumner was incarcerated for because he has been in jail on multiple occasions. So I don't know if they know exactly if he was a free man as Molly went missing. Well, I think they know. Because why would they name him as a suspect otherwise?
Maybe this is one of those information that wasn't released in the public.
Potentially. So Francis was facing criminal charges when he died, including failing to register as an S offender and making threats, disorderly conduct, and harassment.
How do you even have to register for that?
You have to.
Really?
Yeah, it's a rule.
Really? Because I honestly thought they would just like, for example, give it to you. Like, for example, you essayed someone immediately. The police is gonna name you the offender
No,
in that town.
I think when you move, you need to register. When you
For some
when
reason,
you
I
move to a
thought
new city.
no. For some reason, I thought that the police would give out that information to the other state police. Because come on, it's not like something you could trust an offender to register for.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
oh well, sorry, I wanted to have a new life here.
well, apparently, if you don't register, you will face repercussions.
Immediately, or if you get discovered.
I think they somehow maybe have a process. I mean, don't ask me. I have no idea. So, yeah. Now let's move a little bit. What do you know about Francis Sumner? I'm trying to look for any information that would link him to the case. Honestly, other than him being a weird guy
Who looks exactly like the sketch.
and smokes with the left hand. Yeah. Apparently, one thing DA Early, Joe Early, he said that they are trying to connect him via DNA, but in 2021, DNA from evidence tested so far hadn't linked Francis to the crime. So DNA wasn't there yet. I don't know about now. And I don't know exactly why he's a suspect, honestly. I'm reading up some information about this guy. So apparently, Sumner, he had rented some locations in the general area, central Massachusetts, various towns, as I understand. He was renting a garage. I think he was using it as a place of work because he was repairing cars. Apparently, he had the bad reputation among car fixers of a guy who would charge you more for the job than what he should charge you, and then
He does look like it.
he wouldn't even do a good job on your car. There was a lady, or sorry, not lady, a man called Bob Rankfala, who was a landlord at the time, renting out a garage to Francis. And apparently, Francis at some point stopped paying rent, and he had some problems with the guy. But I'm trying to find if there's anything connecting Francis, like on a bigger scale. And I think now I see it. Okay, now I see it. This is interesting to me. So basically, oh yeah, I found some more information about Sumner. Sorry that I kind of like lost track of my own notes here. Okay, authorities said that Sumner was known to operate auto repair shops in Spencer and Worcester areas. Okay, and from 2009 to 2012, he operated maybe a chain called Elite Autos. Okay, his landlord Rankfala thought about filing to get Sumner evicted from his garage after he had stopped paying rent payments. About a year after Sumner had stopped paying rent, basically, was trying to take some legal action. And eventually he changed the locks to the garage, and Sumner just stopped going there. Inside the garage, after Sumner had already died, Rankfala found a bunch of junk, including old tow trucks, motors, and transmissions. Now, Gary Woodbury, a Spencer City salesman, said that he was working at Ragsdale Chevrolet car spot in Spencer in around 2001, so 1 year after Molly was abducted. Okay. And apparently he started selling cars to Sumner at some point. Maybe Sumner would buy them and fix them up or something. So Gary Woodbury said that he was a little hot-headed at times.
I mean, honestly, looking at his picture alone, he looks like
problematic.
hot-headed most of the times.
Looks problematic, right?
Yeah.
But despite the bad temper, Gary Woodbury said he was shocked to find out that Sumner was a person of interest in the Molly Bish case. He didn't think that he would ever go that far. But law enforcement apparently do think.
I mean, he already went far.
Yeah.
20-page record.
Definitely, right? And I think, I think basically that's it. I mean, honestly, I'm trying to find some hard connection. I think he was, just a guy. What
Basically
do you know about him?
an a-hole.
What do you know
basically.
about him? Wasn't he the guy who was fishing in the pond
No, I
sometimes?
think it was
It was the
some
other
other
guy.
dude.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. I mean, all these guys at this point look similar. But now I have a roundup. I have a real quick roundup. This is where what we were waiting for. Oh, before we do a roundup,
So sorry, I just found it. Rodney.
Rodney was the fishing guy. Yeah, yeah. So we have the file open, and I'm gonna share this on the YouTube channel as well. Last thing I want to mention: please go to the last pictures on the file. It's basically, it's like already in the winter time. It's not how it looked in June when Molly was abducted, but it's a couple of pictures and it indicates how close Molly's lifeguard station, and this is not the lifeguard station that you would imagine in Baywatch.
Jeez, I was expecting something like that.
No, it's literally just a chair. It's like a kiddie pool type situation. It's not like
But it feels
Baywatch,
kind of like isolated.
but so close to the forest.
Yeah.
So this means that there's a huge chance that whoever abducted Molly, they came from the forest.
I was thinking of that as well. However,
Yeah.
she probably was lured instead of abducted right on the spot
Yeah.
because there were no signs of like missing items, some commotion.
Not that we're aware of.
Yeah.
So let me do a roundup. Let me do a roundup of all the individuals, and you tell me what just jumps to you as the most likely.
Honestly, even if you do the roundup, I don't think I'll ever like get to choose or pick one because all of them look exactly like the sketch.
Well, let me try to see. Maybe I could change your mind.
Okay, let's try.
Let's start with the Connecticut man. In 2005, a man from Connecticut was investigated after being charged with attempted kidnapping in New York. He was briefly considered a suspect, but was ultimately not linked to Molly's case. We have guy number 2, Rodney Stanger, a convicted murderer who moved from Massachusetts to Florida a year after Molly's disappearance. How convenient. He matched the description of the man seen in the white car near Comins Pond, just like all the guys actually. Stanger was known to be a frequent in the area, and he was apparently fishing there, and he was also frequented the areas where Molly's body was found. Then we have David Poilot, he was named as a person of interest in connection to Holly's case. We don't know exactly on what basis, but they apparently have some forensic evidence leading to Poilot. Now, Poilot himself dies in 2003, and if he's heavily connected to Holly's case, he must be considered as a suspect in Molly's case as well. We have the strange man in the pickup truck, also connected to Holly's case. The guy who was seen driving around in a brown pickup truck near the area where Holly was last seen. Retired investigators suspect that he may be involved in her abduction and murder and is potentially connected to Molly's case. Then we have Gerald Batistoni, a convicted child S offender who was linked to both Molly and Holly's cases. And he lived near where Molly's body was found, and he matches the sketch. He died in 2014 before DNA testing could conclusively link him to the crime. And then we have the last guy, Francis Sumner, a convicted S offender who resembled the sketch, smoked with the left hand, just like in the sketch. He was named as a person of interest the latest in 2021 after new information surfaced that we don't know about. He's dead though in 2016, and we are still trying to connect him via DNA.
Well, I would maybe exclude the 2 unidentified men just because they're unidentified.
Connecticut man and the pickup truck guy.
Yeah.
I think they're both identified.
But we don't know much about them.
Yeah.
Not even their faces. I want to see their faces first before I try to
That's a good
connect
point.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would think Stanger is really weird creepy.
Rodney Stanger.
But the thing is, they all are, and I don't know, for some reason, Stanger actually like kind of grabs my attention.
I mean, to me, Stanger is very like relevant because he was literally fishing in that pond,
Yes.
and then he looks like the guy. So
But everyone
maybe
everyone
he
looks
was
like the guy.
there. Maybe he was there the day before to fish, and the next day he was like, "I'm gonna abduct Molly."
Yeah, from the way I see it, Molly's case, the most likely scenario is that it was planned. Her abduction was planned. I feel like her abductor was watching her from afar beforehand, probably knew the area well, and took her quickly before anyone else could notice.
I agree. I completely agree with what you're saying.
Like, completely familiar with the area, not just Warren, just the pond, the forest, the everything.
Yeah, for me too. And just because the same person apparently was seen 2 days in a row, you know what I mean? Even the day before Molly got abducted. So it's not a guy who's there for the first time.
Definitely a local.
Or like from the state.
Frequently by the pond
Yeah.
or the forest area.
Yep.
Yeah, all of them are really, really sketchy. And
I would like to know what they have on Francis Sumner though, because they have some new information that just came out, and they immediately like busted the info online that we have this guy as a person of interest, but he's been dead for like 5 years now. So if they already like completely came out with this information about Francis in 2021, that means that they have something like strong.
true.
So it could be Francis.
It could be anyone from our list. This is one of those frustrating cases wherein you're like, everyone could be it, and everyone deserves jail time.
I'm trying to think if any of them don't deserve jail time right now. I have a list. And yeah,
They all do.
they all do. Yeah, by the looks of it, they all need to go. Well, they're all dead now. Wait, are they all dead? No, we don't know.
Stanger's still alive, no?
I think Stanger's gone, dude, or maybe not. I forgot already. Either way, I don't think it changes much for Stanger if he's still alive or not. Dude, I got confused now with all these suspects here.
This one's really tough because
Tough, man,
a
but
lot of sketchy people are involved.
But I think this is good because this is where we ask the listeners to kind of really quickly go to the YouTube and leave a comment. And then who do you think is responsible? We have like 6 guys here.
I want to beat all of them up with a bat. Sorry for the aggressiveness, but they deserve it.
I think a lot of people feel the
Would
same
join
way.
me.
Yeah, would join you. Okay, so thank you guys for listening. Another podcast episode. This was the Weeknight Mysteries podcast. And we will be talking about something new very soon. In the meantime,
Please like and subscribe.
yeah. Talk to you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.